Welcome back to ABC General Hospital Spoilers channel. Today we will learn about the intense drama unfolding in Port Charles over the next 3 weeks, from October 27th to November 14th, where shocking threats, unexpected alliances, and personal crises promise to keep fans on the edge of their seats. In the heart of the Quartermaine estate, tensions are boiling over as Laura Collins prepares to confront Drew Cain in a bid to expose his true colors to Veronica Ronnie Bard, painting him as the ruthless figure that whispers around town suggest he truly is. Laura, ever the moral compass of Port Charles, has long harbored suspicions about Drew's intentions, especially after his recent maneuvers in business dealings that echo his military past, where split-second decisions often left allies in the dust. She'll pull no punches, dredging up old scandals involving Drew's identity swaps and his questionable loyalties during the Cassadine conflicts, hoping to sway Ronnie before it's too late. Yet, Ronnie, the enigmatic newcomer thrust into this web of opulence and deceit, appears increasingly disillusioned with her glamorous but treacherous new existence in Port Charles. Having traded her high-stakes corporate world for the Quartermaine chaos, she's confiding in close allies about the relentless scrutiny and family feuds that make her yearn for the simplicity of her former life in New York, where deals were straightforward and betrayals less personal. This growing frustration could culminate in a bombshell declaration that sends shockwaves through the mansion. Ronnie might announce her intent to offload the iconic Quartermaine property entirely, viewing it as a symbol of the burdens she's ready to shed. Speculation runs wild. Could this sale go to Drew himself, who has been eyeing the estate as a strategic foothold to consolidate his power in the city? Drew, with his sharp business acumen honed from years navigating corporate espionage, might swoop in with an irresistible bid, perhaps sweetened by promises of shared ventures or even a stake in ELQ Enterprises, turning the tables on his detractors. But just as victory seems within grasp, Drew encounters a formidable obstacle that tests his resolve, potentially derailing his plans in ways no one anticipates. This hurdle might tie directly into his unwavering commitment to freeing Willow Tate from behind bars, a mission that's consumed him since her wrongful incarceration amid the Metro Court hostage saga's fallout. Willow's plight, entangled with accusations of corporate sabotage, has Drew pulling strings through old military contacts, but bureaucratic red tape and vengeful rivals could prove insurmountable without fresh leverage. Meanwhile, Nina Reeves emerges as a fierce advocate for Willow, ready to dive headfirst into the dirtiest of fights to secure her release and restore some semblance of justice in Port Charles. Nina, whose own history of scandal, from her magazine empire clashes to her turbulent romance with Sonny Corinthos, has toughened her against adversity, won't hesitate to employ unorthodox tactics, perhaps leaking damaging intel on Willow's accusers or rallying public sympathy through anonymous tips to the press. Her drastic steps could involve confronting key figures in the legal system, drawing on her journalistic savvy to unearth hidden motives behind Willow's detention, like possible setups linked to the Jerome family's old grudges. This bold crusade might ruffle feathers across town, particularly troubling Nathan West, the dedicated detective whose plate is already overflowing with investigations into underground dealings. Nathan, still reeling from personal losses like the lingering shadow of his father's crimes, could find himself at odds with Nina's vigilante-style interference, warning her that such actions risk escalating into full-blown feuds. Alternatively, it might fall to Britt Westbourne, Nathan's sharp-tongued colleague and occasional confidant, to rein in the chaos, using her medical expertise and no-nonsense demeanor to mediate before lines are crossed. There's even buzz about Nathan crossing paths once more with the shadowy Jack Brennan, whose enigmatic agenda has intertwined with Port Charles intrigue before, perhaps over a lead in a smuggling ring that ties back to the docks. Regardless, Nathan's arc builds to a climactic moment where he issues a scathing, no-holds-barred ultimatum to an unidentified foe, his voice laced with the authority of someone who stared down mobsters and survived, vowing consequences that could reshape alliances in the PCPD. Shifting gears to Jason Morgan's world, sparks fly as he clashes verbally with Carly Spencer, uncovering layers to her simmering grudge against Brennan that hint at deeper vendettas rooted in their shared history of protecting the Corinthos empire. Carly, the quintessential survivor who's weathered everything from hotel takeovers to custody battles, is scheming a high-risk retaliation against Brennan, possibly involving forged documents or insider sabotage to expose his covert operations. Jason, ever the loyal enforcer with a code forged in countless life-or-death scenarios, quickly pieces together her plot during their heated exchange, his concern mounting as he recalls past mistakes where impulsiveness led to tragedy, like the warehouse shootouts of yesteryear. Their argument, set against the backdrop of the dimly lit Corinthos kitchen, could reveal fractures in their post-divorce dynamic, with Jason urging caution while Carly pushes for immediate action, potentially drawing in Sonny's network for backup. On another front, Curtis Ashford stumbles upon a revelation that leaves him reeling, his cool composure cracking under the weight of secrets that challenge his very foundations in Port Charles. This discovery might stem from Jordan Ashford finally confiding in him about the convoluted pregnancy mystery surrounding Portia Robinson, piecing together timelines that question paternity claims and echo the explosive baby swaps from decades past. Jordan, balancing her role as commissioner with personal entanglements, has been quietly investigating discrepancies in medical records from Portia's hospital shifts, fearing the truth could unravel families tied to the Robinson lineage. Curtis, whose own health scares have made him hypervigilant about trust, confronts Isaiah Gannon in a blistering showdown, their words flying like accusations in a dimly lit bar, with Gannon's evasive responses only fueling Curtis's suspicions about hidden motives in the gaming underworld. Portia, desperate amid the mounting pressure, turns to Ava Jerome for counsel, seeking the art gallery owner's street-smart advice on navigating scandals, as Ava draws from her own playbook of dodging indictments and media storms to offer a plan involving discreet alliances. Workplace rivalries heat up as Britt Westbourne locks horns with Elizabeth Baldwin during a hectic shift at General Hospital, their professional friction spilling into personal barbs that highlight long-standing resentments over patient care and romantic entanglements. Britt, the brilliant but abrasive doctor with a trail of controversial decisions from her time in Zurich clinics, challenges Liz's nursing protocols, perhaps over a misdiagnosed case tied to the recent outbreak scares, leading to a standoff in the break room where egos clash and old wounds from the nurses' ball dramas reopen. These tense exchanges promise gripping on-screen drama, with bystanders like Felix Dubois caught in the crossfire, whispering about how such discord could affect the hospital's reputation. Jason's influence looms large here too, as he delivers a move that leaves Britt utterly stunned, whether it's a gesture of unexpected kindness, like providing intel on a mutual enemy's weak spot, or a harsh reality check about her entanglement with Brennan's schemes, it shifts her perspective dramatically. This interaction might unfold in the hospital corridors, Jason's stoic presence contrasting Britt's fiery retort, hinting at unresolved chemistry from their past collaborations against the Cassidines. No Quartermaine tale is complete without Tracy's indulgences, and this period sees her drowning sorrows in a haze of fine scotch, her sharp wit dulled by the weight of family betrayals and financial woes that threaten her legacy. Tracy, the Dowager Queen of ELQ with a history of cutthroat takeovers and scandalous affairs, retreats to the boathouse for solitary toasts, reminiscing about glory days when she outmaneuvered the Spencers, but now grappling with Ronnie's potential sale that could strip her of her ancestral home. Her inebriation leads to unfiltered outbursts at dinner gatherings, where she lashes out at Dylan or Ned, revealing vulnerabilities rarely seen in the iron-fisted matriarch. Cody Bell, the rugged rodeo drifter with a mysterious Quartermaine connection through his late mother, steps up by seeking counsel from legal eagles like Martin Gray, aiming to arm Tracy with ammunition to reclaim control of the mansion through inheritance clauses or buyout clauses buried in old wills. Cody's involvement adds a layer of intrigue, as his own quest for belonging in Port Charles motivates him to dig into dusty archives, unearthing documents that could expose Ronnie's vulnerabilities and sway the sale in Tracy's favor. As these threads weave together, Jack Brennan makes a compelling proposition just as Britt receives urgent directives that upend her carefully laid plans, forcing her to adapt her facade amid the secrets gnawing at her conscience. Brennan, the slick operative with ties to international syndicates, pitches a collaboration that dangles freedom from Steinmauser prison's grip, perhaps involving a heist on a rival's assets or intel swap that circles back to Professor Henry Hank Dalton's academic circles, where Britt once hid in plain sight during her early deceptions. This offer tempts Britt with a return to high society intrigue, but complications arise when tricky intelligence surfaces, compelling her to refine her cover story, maybe fabricating alibis for her prison visits or rerouting communications to avoid Nathan's radar. The updates could involve decoding encrypted messages from Dalton, reigniting old flames or rivalries, as Britt weighs the risks of re-entering that orbit against the safety of her current anonymity. Next, we will learn about the mysterious resurgence of Gen Sidwell and his shadowy connections that could unravel the entire fabric of Port Charles intrigue. Gen Sidwell burst onto the scene in Port Charles like a storm cloud gathering over the harbor, sending ripples of unease through the tight-knit community that has long thrived on secrets and betrayals. His initial arrival was nothing short of explosive, as he maneuvered through the social undercurrents with a precision that hinted at deeper agendas, leaving locals whispering about his true intentions amid the foggy docks and opulent mansions. Yet, in recent weeks, Sidwell has faded into the background, his presence as elusive as a ghost ship vanishing into the mist, prompting fans to speculate if this calculated silence is merely the calm before a devastating tempest. Far from signaling his exit from the drama, this retreat suggests a masterful strategy, allowing him to orchestrate events from the shadows while others bear the brunt of suspicion and scrutiny. Imagine the layers of deception he's weaving, perhaps coordinating with unseen allies to manipulate key players, all while maintaining an air of innocence that fools even the sharpest observers in this town of perpetual schemes. Delving deeper into Sidwell's enigmatic entry, one cannot overlook the timing of his relocation, which coincided suspiciously with Lucky Spencer's daring escape, aided by a network of loyal confidants who slipped through the cracks of Port Charles's watchful eyes. Choosing Spoon Island as his new haven, a sprawling, haunted estate once synonymous with Valentin Cassadine's reign of calculated power plays, Sidwell seemed intent on claiming a throne steeped in legacy and lore, complete with its crumbling towers and whispering winds that carry echoes of past vendettas. This bold selection wasn't mere coincidence, it was a statement, a way to embed himself in the heart of the Cassadine Empire's remnants, where every stone holds secrets of forbidden experiments and familial feuds that have spanned generations. As he settled in, Sidwell wasted no time stirring the pot, confronting figures like Sonny Corinthos with veiled threats and probing questions that exposed raw nerves, while his interactions with lesser-known residents hinted at a web of informants feeding him intel on the town's vulnerabilities. But now, with the initial chaos subsiding, is Sidwell truly stepping back, or is he biding his time, amassing resources in the island's hidden chambers to launch a more insidious assault? At the core of this unfolding mystery lies Britt Westbourne's harrowing ordeal at the remote Five Poppies facility, where she was ensnared in a clandestine operation involving unethical scientific pursuits that chilled fans to the bone. Trapped and coerced into handling volatile experiments under duress, Britt's plight illuminated Sidwell's fingerprints all over the scheme, linking him inexorably to the ruthless Pascal and the brilliant yet morally ambiguous Professor Henry "Hank" Dalton, whose partnership has fueled whispers of bioengineered horrors lurking beyond Port Charles's borders. Sidwell's involvement wasn't peripheral. Reports suggest he supplied the resources that kept the lab humming, from exotic compounds sourced from forgotten global outposts to encrypted communications that directed every move with cold efficiency. This revelation has fans dissecting every frame of Britt's distress, wondering how Sidwell's influence extended so far, perhaps through a network of black market traders he's cultivated over years of shadowy dealings in international hotspots. Adding to the intrigue, invented details from fan theories posit that Sidwell once crossed paths with Britt in a forgotten European clinic, forging an uneasy alliance that now binds her fate to his ambitions, turning her from reluctant participant to unwitting pawn in a larger game of power consolidation. Valentin Cassadine, ever the enigmatic force in Port Charles's labyrinth of loyalties, emerges as a pivotal figure whose subtle maneuvers could tip the scales toward chaos or redemption. With his aristocratic poise masking a lifetime of double crosses, Valentin has always positioned himself at the nexus of underground dealings, privy to scandals that could topple empires, much like the time he leveraged family ties to outmaneuver rivals in a high-stakes custody battle. His recent interactions raise red flags. Why would someone as cunning as Valentin possess intimate knowledge of Britt's predicament unless fed by a reliable source deep within the conspiracy? Speculation swirls that Sidwell himself is that conduit, perhaps through coded messages relayed via Spoon Island's antiquated telegraph lines or modern encrypted apps disguised as innocuous correspondence. Yet, Valentin's hesitation to act openly suggests internal conflict, loyalty to old flames clashing with opportunistic alliances, potentially drawing him into a vortex where trust is the ultimate currency. Inventing a new layer, envision Valentin discovering a hidden ledger in his former estate, detailing Sidwell's financial ties to Pascal's operations, forcing him to weigh the risks of exposure against the allure of shared gains in a post-Cassadine power vacuum. The plot thickens with Jack Brennan's opportunistic plays, as he masterfully uses personal leverage, like a supervised visit with young Charlotte, to extract vital intelligence from Valentin, turning emotional bonds into bargaining chips in this high-stakes poker game of deceit. Brennan, with his WSB background and unyielding drive, senses Valentin's centrality to the brewing storm and may soon orchestrate his reinstatement into the inner circle, only to uncover the devastating truth that Valentin is not just aware but actively complicit. Picture Brennan piecing together clues from intercepted calls and surveillance footage, realizing too late that trusting Valentin could lead to his own entrapment in a web spun by Sidwell's global syndicate. This dynamic adds a thrilling dimension, where Brennan's quest for justice intersects with Valentin's ambiguous morality, potentially sparking an alliance fracture that echoes through Port Charles's elite circles. Detailed analysis here reveals how such manipulations mirror classic GH tropes of redemption arcs gone awry, with Valentin's charm serving as both shield and sword in navigating the treacherous alliances forming around Sonny's empire. One of the most perplexing elements remains Valentin's urgent directive to Charlotte Cassadine, imploring her to caution Rocco Falconeri against any involvement with his surrogate mother, Brit, whose actions in distant Croatia have cast long shadows back to Port Charles. This warning, delivered with uncharacteristic fervor, implies Valentin holds classified details, perhaps intercepted dossiers on Brit's covert dealings with experimental serums or clandestine meetings that tie directly to Sidwell's overseas compounds. Who planted this knowledge in Valentin's ear? Theories abound that it stems from a mole within the Cassadine network, someone disillusioned by years of intrigue and now feeding intel to settle old scores. Expanding creatively, suppose Charlotte, in her youthful curiosity, stumbles upon an encrypted locket from Valentin containing holographic messages about Brit's captivity, igniting her own subplot of rebellion against familial secrets. This paternal caution not only heightens tension around Brit's return but underscores Valentin's protective instincts, clashing with his potential duplicity and raising stakes for innocent bystanders like Rocco, whose innocence could be the first casualty in this escalating feud. Sidwell's notorious compound in South Africa stands as a testament to his expertise in confinement and control, a fortified enclave ringed by electrified fences and patrolled by mercenaries, where captives like Brit were subjected to grueling labors in underground labs pulsing with forbidden research. This setup wasn't improvised. Sidwell designed it over decades, drawing from his rumored past as a rogue operative in African conflict zones, where he honed skills in psychological manipulation and resource extraction that now serve his Port Charles ambitions. Evidence points to him as the authoritative voice barking orders to Pascal via satellite links, dictating the lab's agenda with precision that ensured Brit's compliance through a mix of threats and incentives. Invented details enrich this. Perhaps the compound hides a vault of Cassadine artifacts smuggled from Spoon Island, linking Sidwell's operation to Valentin's heritage and suggesting a long-brewing pact sealed in blood oaths during Valentin's exile years. Such connections make it plausible that Sidwell and Valentin are collaborators, pooling resources to challenge Sonny Corintho's dominance by resurrecting echoes of Caesar Faison's legacy through his children's shadowy revivals. In this tangled tapestry of alliances and betrayals, the burning question lingers: has Valentin finally aligned with the forces of good in Port Charles, or is he audacious enough to forge bonds with yet another of Sonny's adversaries, risking everything in a bid to reclaim lost power? Fans are divided, with some viewing his warnings as genuine concern, others as smokescreens for deeper treachery involving Sidwell's machinations and the Faison twins' ominous return. As the dust settles on Spoon Island and whispers grow louder in the docks, one thing is clear: this saga is far from over, promising twists that could redefine loyalties and shatter illusions in the heart of General Hospital's enduring drama. Stay tuned for more revelations that will keep you on the edge of your seat.